In a previous video, we had a look at making a work breakdown structure. We came up with key activities for tasks that were all grouped together underneath each activity with a nice numbered ordering format. Ultimately, we want all of these activities and tasks on a time-sequenced bar graph, commonly called a Gantt chart. Project management software is very commonly used today in most project management applications. This particular piece of software is called Omniplan 3. Before the project can be put into Omniplan easily, it really needs to have some work done on a whiteboard, preferably, to find the predecessor and successor activities and time durations. These time durations and predecessor activities are added to the WBS worksheet number 2. Finally, using the work breakdown structure unique numbering system, all of the details for activities and tasks are placed into Omniplan 3 project management software. Although it's very convenient to view the software on the computer screen, a large screen is commonly needed. The project management Gantt chart is finally printed and placed on the whiteboard for group consultation. Well, here we are with the finished project management map, commonly called a Gantt chart after Henry Gantt. In fact, it's an interesting story that all Gantt charts today are not strictly Gantt charts in the true sense of the word. Henry Gantt was a production management specialist who knew the time of machine operation to create so many widgets, so to say, and then map that against the productivity, human productivity, and actually almost held contests like work in the factories to see who could produce the most widgets in the shortest amount of time. So a time and motion study expert. This is, strictly speaking, just a time scheduled bar chart. But anyway, that's beside the point. If you look in just about any textbook these days, they're called Gantt charts, after Henry Gantt, who was a mechanical engineer, died in 1919. So anyway, it's been printed out. The key reason for printing it out is that if you've got a project management team with 6 or 7 people on it, and then you're going to have consultative meetings, you need to be able to get a pen and draw on the map. Now, this particular map, a few things came out of it after I printed it and put it on the board. That's another story by itself. Printing maps like this, it took 16 sheets of paper, which then had to be cut down and taped into place on the whiteboard. But after having done that and having such a large project management diagram to stand back and look at, one of the first things I was able to solve was why the project management software could not come up with a critical path, proper critical path in this map. It said that the critical path was the last activity, second last activity, 6-week activity, or 1-week activity, and then it doesn't go anywhere after that. And I'd looked at that and looked at that on the computer, and I couldn't see the reason. And the reason is that I've got 8 weeks, 1 and 2 makes 10, 6, 16 weeks, and I'd been comparing it against this part of the path here, which has 3-week activity in lieu of this 8-week activity. Therefore, this has a lot of slack time. It has 5 weeks of slack time on that path. What I hadn't looked at was this other activity down here, which comes from the same point. 8 weeks, 1 week, 1 week, 6 weeks. I've got 2 paths for the construction, one for the, erecting the tower, and one for building the hut, which are both 8 weeks in duration, and therefore the software didn't know which one to go with for the critical path, so it only drew the critical path for the very last part of the map. And I guess it hoped that the creator was able to be smart enough to track it down. But it's amazing, as soon as it was on the big picture, to be able to stand back and look at it, and I saw that straight away. A couple of other things that I saw, I had a couple of tasks that went nowhere. They didn't have any successor to go to. So in one case, I finished up putting a milestone next to it, and in the other case, I worked out that it did actually have a successor, and I was able to go back into the software and put that in with a connection. So that's it. There's a lot of work in coming up with the final Gantt chart. This could have been done a little bit neater, I suppose, with balancing the tasks on the left-hand side to give me more of a waterfall effect. But as far as functionality of the Gantt chart goes, it's perfectly okay as it is. So all the steps that were involved in that, we had the scoping meeting, then we had the meeting about the WBS, where we came up with almost all of the activities and topics, but there were still a few that were added later on. Then we had to take that WBS into a Part 2 document, whereby we drew a quick mud map, so to say, using this purple colour, of course, on the whiteboard, and then that allowed us to see where the predecessors and where the successors were to put into the WBS, and then final step to take that and put it all into the project management software. In this case I'm using the Mac, and I'm using Omniplan Project 3. So I hope all of that helps, and stay tuned for the next instalment. This is Greg Moore for New South Wales TAFE. Thanks for watching.